The following is a Hoop Ball presentation. Welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Hoop Ball DFS Today podcast. I am your host, Mike Pacha, joined by my good buddy Santino Cacone, here to break down this wonderful Thursday, February 18th slate. We got 3 games on the card. Nice little light docket. Quick show for you guys today. Nonetheless, it'll be packed with information, but how you doing over there, my good buddy?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, get ready to get this one going. A very quick one, only 3 games. We do have a lot of news already and then a lot of news to look out for, but should be a fairly quick breakdown here.
Yeah, that's what we're expecting. It's 3 games. We got a lot of the news already. Stuff worth monitoring still, but we got enough to break this bad boy down. But before we jump into anything, let me just give a quick shout out to our presenting sponsors, MyBookie. If you guys haven't already checked them out, head over to mybookie.ag. Use that promo code HoopBall. You get a 50% deposit match on up to $1,000. So you deposit $1,000, you get $500 for free. And you might be asking, what can I do over at MyBookie? Absolutely everything when it comes to the betting landscape. They have a fully fledged casino platform. You can take some NBA wagers out there, some college hoops wagers. You can do parlay. You can do game props. They have literally everything. I just, Santino, I know you were telling me the other night, you were playing some blackjack. You were hitting the tables out there a little bit. So they have absolutely everything, guys. Check them out, and it's free money. I mean, if you were to go to your local casino and they said, here's some free money, go play, you're going to take the trip out there. That's why they do it. So use that promo code HoopBall, and you get lots of free money to play with over there at MyBookie. They are the most reputable, the only company I trust, and their customer support and service is beyond belief. So check them out, guys. Again, promo code HoopBall. All right, Santino. 3 games, nice little quick one. First one on the docket. Well, at least you know what the thing is. The 3 on paper pretty good games. Toronto Raptors versus the Milwaukee Bucks. 7:30 Eastern Standard Time game. For the Bucks, Drew Holiday is still out, away from the team. Only major injury to be concerned with as far as their starters or anybody in the rotation. For the Raptors, Malachi Flynn, Kyle is out. Kyle Lowry is questionable, while Yuta is questionable as well. So some the major news obviously being Kyle Lowry, keeping an eye on him. And then, we're still playing the same guys over there in Milwaukee that we've been playing with Drew Holiday out. But I'll pass it over to you, Santino. Why don't you talk about these Raptors, what we could expect if Kyle Lowry sits? And I guess if he plays, do you have any interest in him?
Yeah, so I had interest in him in last game, and he was really good, and then he got hurt. So it was unfortunate. I'm looking at the latest update I was seeing was that he woke up and still found some pain in that ankle. So I don't know if they're going to push him. He's nearly 35. So I would look to see he's closer to not playing than playing, but everything changes on a dime. That's definitely information we want to look at. If he does play and they're saying he's good to go, no restrictions, 7K, yes. Just like reason that I liked him last time. There's no Drew Holiday. Bryn Forbes cannot guard him. Fantastic matchup, 7K. I will be playing a lot of him. If he can't go, kind of opens things up for Fred VanVleet, who's going to be shooting over to the main point guard spot. And for the main reasons that I like Lowry, VanVleet is just as good and will be in a great spot as well. So I like him. And then I would assume that Powell starts at the 2, OG starts at the 3. Siakam, they go back to the bigger lineup. Siakam at the 4, Baines at the 5, and then Boucher plays a lot. I would look at VanVleet, Powell in this matchup. If there's no Lowry, Siakam gets a little bit of love. If there is Lowry, more Lowry, and I will have less of VanVleet and Powell in it. I'm not going to really look at the rotation. It's just not too many guys out there that everybody's a little bit there.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. And I was kind of thinking the same thing about that point guard position. The one thing I'm tossing and turning in between is if whether or not DiVincenzo actually just guards the point guard, because especially if Lowry's out, VanVleet, there's no hidden secret. He's one of their main offensive threats. It wouldn't shock me if Bryn Forbes ends up guarding the 2. It's really a toss-up. However they want to do it, they're probably going to decide game time. We're not going to know that until they tip off and we actually watch. This is a tough matchup for Toronto. This is going to be a very, very tough matchup for them. you know, I don't have a lot of interest in any of these guys, but it's only a 3-game slate, so we have to have some exposure. I'll be looking at attacking Milwaukee from the 3-point line. So I'm with you. I think the backcourt is the main approach I'm going to take on this one. If you wanted a dumpster dive and maybe look towards like an Aaron Baines type of guy at 3,400 on a short slate, sure. But we have some value in other games and other teams that we'll get to.
Oh, these guys just played on the other night, and the Raptors beat them by 11, and it's still the same thing that I mentioned the last time I was on the podcast 2 nights ago. If you're going to beat the Bucks, the best way to do it is at the 3-point line. They are bottom 5 in the league in 3-point percentage given up, and they have a top 5 pace. So that's why I like the backcourt options here, especially with no Drew Holiday, who's easily their best perimeter defender.
Yeah, and last season I believe they were, don't quote me on this, I believe they were like 29th or 30th in the league ranked 3-point line. So Drew Holiday, as good as he is, it's not taken away from that. It's not helping him that much where they're not, they're still not a source to attack there. So I'm with you. Attack the 3-point line. It's going to be a difficult matchup when you're talking about, Siakam. OG is probably going to be a little bit limited still, and he's going to be spending a lot of his time on the defensive end. So those two guys I'm just kind of ruling out of my player pool right off the rip. But on the Milwaukee side, Santino, you talked about it. It was an 11-point game. Anytime we see there's an 11-point game, or even if I would say anything close to, a 13, 14-point game for the Bucks, we can expect some pretty decent minutes from Giannis, and that's when we generally want to target him. So I'll definitely have some interest in Giannis on this matchup. These two teams, they faced off twice this season already. Giannis is averaging almost 68 DK points against them in those two matchups. So 10-9, you're paying for him. We're going to have some value. It sounds crazy on a 3-game slate. I keep saying it, but we're going to have the value to maybe even potentially get 2 of these studs in there if we really want to. So, if that value does open up, I'm going to be looking to get Giannis and somebody over there on that Brooklyn side, most likely. If it doesn't, you can get your exposure to Chris Middleton or DiVincenzo on this side of the ball and still feel very comfortable with them. Chris Middleton's averaging 37 DK points in the 2 times that they matched up. It doesn't sound great for 7,800, but we know Middleton's upside, and it is a 3-game slate, and he's a nice mid-tier price tag.
Yeah, Giannis 10-9. He played 37 minutes in the last one, 36 before that, 39, 38. If you're getting high 30s, mid 30s, Giannis, easy to go there. Just easy route. You're getting at minimum 63 fantasy points. You're getting exactly what you're paying for it with some upside there. So as long as this game's competitive, which it looks like it should be, even if Lowry misses it because there's no Drew Holiday, this dude's playing a lot of minutes, and that's the only thing we were concerned about last year and the year before that. But at 10-9, it could definitely go to Giannis again in this matchup. And Middleton, if you want cheaper exposure to this team, Middleton at 7-8, under 8K now, is also a very, very good price tag. He didn't have a great game last game. He only took 8 shots. Can't imagine that sticks. He did have four fouls early, and that's been a thing for him the last couple games. He's had at least 4 fouls in the last 4 games. Something's going to give. He's not that type of guy, so I really like him there. I don't mind DiVincenzo also, and I don't mind Bobby Portis at 5-1. I think Portis has just been fairly good, and then this is a good matchup that suits him. They have Baines, who's just not been able to stay on the floor. Boucher, who's too small for him. Too thin, I should say. Bobby Portis is a bigger dude. Or they'll go small with Siakam, who's also too thin for him. Very good matchup for Portis also. So I like those guys. And a cheaper value, if you're going deep, Bryn Forbes has just been playing a lot of minutes. We mentioned him on the other side. Played 26 in the last one again. Took 7 shots. Not huge upside. He doesn't do much, but he's playing the minutes. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can go there as well. And under 4K, you're not hoping for a great deal. But then also Pat Connaughton also playing a lot of minutes lately. He played 31 in the last one, 23, 29, 21 before that. He's been playing pretty well. Another guy under 4K if you're trying to stack in a bunch of those big guys.
I love it. Connaughton was the one guy, as you were talking, I'm looking through this, and he's popping off the page for me too. He's a guy that he's always just been like a favorite. Even when other guys are probably a little bit more deserving of minutes, Connaughton always finds himself playing that 20 to 24 minute role. With some of these wings out, I think we're looking at a nice floor. And he just offers more upside, I think, than Bryn Forbes. He actually has the ability to score the ball. Bryn Forbes, he's basically just going to be a spot up, stand in the corner type shooter. He's not going to offer much peripheral. You're hoping that he gets that steal. Solid cash guy, I guess, if you're getting the other guys that you want. But Connaughton for $200 more, plenty of upside, I think, in him, where you're looking at almost like an 18-point floor with a 30-point ceiling. Bryn Forbes, you're looking at probably like a 20 to 25-point ceiling at the role that he's playing. So a lot of bucks to like. Nonetheless, we have an exciting game. It jumps right from 7:30 Eastern Standard Time to 10 p.m. So
Yeah, very weird. I don't like it.
and that's not fun for us because we're getting about 2.5 hours in between these lineups locking as opposed to. So there's a lot of the guys that we're going to probably be targeting in these later games. So again, I always say it. I'm going to keep repeating myself just in case some people are new listeners. And if you are, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Happy to have you here. Make sure that you have all your late game guys towards the bottom of your lineups for late swap purposes. That is what this season has come down to. Late swaps. If you cannot follow the news, if you cannot adjust accordingly, if you cannot take advantage of these guys sitting out, getting late scratched, ownership because of this, you're really missing the ball. Plain and simple. You need to be able to keep an eye on that. And if you're not that type of player where you don't want to sit around and you don't want to watch the news, just, play casually. I'm not trying to be that guy, but play light. It's the smartest way to do it. You really need to be on top of this kind of stuff or just be in our Discord. Nonetheless, Brooklyn traveling to LA, take on the Lakers. For the Nets, Claxton, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kevin Durant, Reggie Perry, Mon Shumpert, all ruled out. Kyrie Irving's probable. Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot.
Luke Carrot.
I wanted to say thank you. Tim Luke Carrot, he is questionable. And for the Lakers, Kostas Antetokounmpo, Anthony Davis, both ruled out. LeBron James, probable. A lot to love in this game. It's going to be some firepower. It's going to be some heat in here. I'll pass it over to you, man. I mean, you are the James Harden truther. I'm only saying that because in our hometown league, you are the guy that owns him. Nonetheless, break down this Nets team, man. There's going to be a lot to like here.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. But if I'm not going for two superstars, I'm just going to take Giannis and his 34 minutes over Harden. Just a better matchup, to be honest. But Harden, obviously, there's no Durant. Kyrie Irving's going to be back for this one. His upside is just as big as Giannis's. He's playing a ton of minutes. He's going to have a good opportunity to do his triple-double stuff and do everything he wants to do. So I'm not going to hate on going there as well. And if you can get two guys, go for it. But I'll have less years of him when I know Giannis is playing in the 37-minute range against a team that paces up as well. And it is not one of the best defenses in the league, even though they're missing their best defender. So I'll probably have less years of Harden on that for that reason. Don't mind going to Kyrie. You're looking at playing Kyrie against LeBron. I think he gets up for this game. He's only 89, so he's under 9K. That's a discount. He's not handling the ball as much. He already came out and said, yeah, James Harden's the point guard on this, but he's good off the ball. He's played off the ball a lot of his career. When he was playing with LeBron, he was off the ball a lot. This is a good spot for him. He's just a bucket getter. The guy gets buckets. So anytime he's on the floor and he's under 9K, that's a decent job there. If you can't get two of those expensive Super Saiyan type guys, not a bad fallback option. We see that Harden's not in there. Luke Carrot is questionable. Luke Carrot's a guy, and I love saying the name. If Luke Carrot doesn't play, that just opens up extra minutes in the front court and the back court. We saw Bruce Brown get a start at power forward. So there's a lot of moving parts to this Nets team that we have to keep an eye on. I'm not going to really go DeAndre Jordan. Him and Marc Gasol are just old people banging down low. I'm not really excited about that. Jeff Green at 5'2", maybe you can look at it, but I'm still not excited. Joe Harris at 6K. If I'm trying to get stacked lineup, I'm not going to go him, but I don't mind going to like a Shamet, Bruce Brown at 4'1". Maybe if Luke Carrot's out, Tyler Johnson plays extra minutes. I mean, there are people that we can go to if we're trying to go get value, but I'm going more towards Bruce Brown and Shamet down there on this Nets team.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, especially in the front court. The DeAndre Jordan, Marc Gasol matchup, you're right. Nobody likes watching two old people bang. That's not fun.
That came out weird.
One question I had for you, though. And I was shocked by it. What's with this Tyler Johnson? 32 minutes in that last game. 3,300, Came out of nowhere, balled out fairly well. 17 points, 5 rebounds, shot 5 of 10 from the field. He's 3,300. Is that something that we can expect again? I get in that game, Kyrie was out, but he played well, and I think he might have earned himself a couple minutes, especially with a shortened rotation. So I wanted to bring him up. I wanted to get your thoughts on him because he's probably the one guy on the Nets that you didn't mention. Everything else,
I did mention
you,
him.
you touched on him.
That
Um,
just shows that you don't listen, as
maybe,
I
yeah,
say all the time.
maybe it was because I was thinking about the old people thing. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up about Tyler Johnson is that I saw it on Twitter, and I can't unsee this, Santino. I can't unsee it. Someone mentioned that he looks exactly like Dwight's cousin Mose, or from The Office. And after I heard that, I can't unsee it now, and that's all I could think of. So I wanted to just talk about Tyler Johnson and that for a little bit. Everything else you said, though, I completely agree with. Harden, Kyrie. If you can't afford Harden, spending down on Kyrie, it's a great option. I mean, when push comes to shove on the slate, when you're looking at that price tag, it's going to come down to Butler and Kyrie for you. And for me, it's going to come down to exposure to this game. If you want it and you're going to be in there, if you can't afford Harden, then you're probably going to be leaning more Kyrie and going with some of these ancillary options on Miami and vice versa. That's how I'm going to be building a lot of my lineups. Initially, that's the way it's looking. With Timothy Luau-Cabarrot, Tim Lou Carrot, with him being questionable, if he is ruled out, I wouldn't expect big minutes from anybody as far as Andre Roberson. But again, I think that would secure a few extra minutes for guys like Bruce Brown, Tyler Johnson, and Landry Shamet. They would all get a little bit of bump. And when you're looking at them, I'd probably lean more towards Brown and Tyler Johnson. I think a lot of people might end up just going towards that Tyler Johnson. And now that I'm thinking about it, Mose might be a little bit more chalky. It might be that one guy that we want to just keep an eye on. But like I said, it's a 3-game slate, and I kind of want to try to get 2 of these studs in here.
Yeah, and you asked me a question 5 minutes ago, and now I forgot. But I know you were talking about Tyler Johnson. He played 23 in Mose, he played 23 against the Kings the game before that with Kyrie. So I think there's a solid role there and a couple extra minutes if Luke Carrot doesn't play. I don't know if he plays 30, and he's a guy that's burned people a lot in the past when you think, oh, he's gonna when he seemed chalky. So I'm not really going there. I think Bruce Brown's game is a little bit better. Shamet is more part of the rotation anyway and gets his open shots. Probably not going to go Tyler Johnson, but I can see why people would go there. If Luke Carrot plays, I think he would be out of it too. Tyler Johnson.
Just imagine somebody that just maybe they started the podcast, maybe they're a first time listener, and they're like, who's Mose and Luke Carrot? Who are these guys? And even if you've been a long time listener, you probably still don't know who those guys are. That's the first time I think we talked. We in some of our hometown
I've been calling Luke Carrot every time I talk about him.
Oh, have you?
I give Lou his carrot, his credit.
Well, shout out to the most marketable man, professional wrestler Richard Holiday, good friend of mine in Santino. He's the one that came up with that nickname. Picked him up like the first week of fantasy basketball, changed his team name to I don't know why, it was hilarious, but we loved it. We'll get to the next guy next time Portland plays. There was a funny one that I enjoyed. But let's slide over to the Lakers. No Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma, LeBron James. Both of them, I think, absolutely fantastic plays. Talking about this defense on the net side of the ball, we know these guys are vulnerable. I'm probably looking to get more Lakers than I am Brooklyn guys in this game. James Harden and LeBron. Who do you prefer?
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough one there. Probably LeBron. I think I prefer Giannis over all of them just because if Giannis is playing 37 minutes, I know I'm guaranteed 63 plus fantasy points. But LeBron, you're looking at this Nets team, and my God, who can even look at guarding him? No one. So I like LeBron a little bit better. Though it doesn't matter who Harden's going against, what his role is. He's just James Harden. He's awesome at fantasy. He's awesome in basketball. So don't mind it there. But yeah, I like LeBron in this one a slightly better there. I think it's you're pulling hairs when you're going through them, and it more depends on where you put your lineup makeup. But I think LeBron by maybe a couple points there. But Kuzma 6'7", not a price tag you love, but this is a fantastic matchup for him. I can ride him out in here a lot. Hero at 5'9" is almost there. This front court is so bad that I don't mind looking there, but I think I'd rather just pay an 800 more if I have it for Kuzma. I think Schroeder's in a decent spot at 5'8". there's a lot of guys on this team that you can like.
Yeah, I'm with you. I already touched on LeBron and Kuzma. I think when push comes to shove, the two guys I'll probably have the most ownership in will be LeBron and Schroeder. Harrell, I think, makes for a good GPP play. I don't see a lot of people going to him, and he does have like 35 to 40 point upside in this matchup. He only needs to play 24 minutes to get it against his Brooklyn Nets team. I anticipate it being a fairly high scoring game, especially being up tempo for the Lakers. Last game.
I do want to throw out a Caldwell Pope thing there at 3,300. Guy who's kind of fallen under the cracks, but he's going to find himself in a lot of open 3-point attempts here. This is a game that I think he hits at least 3 threes, so he's definitely on my radar at almost bare minimum.
There's the prop bet, 3 threes. I wonder what the over. If you were to go to my bookie, we'll have to check that out tomorrow.
Probably 1.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, it's a good call. There you go. Deposit hoop ball, 50%. Put it on KCP. And maybe that's not the first way you want to get introduced to this, is to bet on KCP. But Santino
when he does it in the first quarter.
I could see that leaving a bad taste in your mouth with just KCP. But it's a great call, honestly.
KC3.
If KCP has one of his games, he's knocking down at least 3-pointers. And this is one of those types of scenarios and matchups that we anticipate he's going to have a better chance, a better opportunity. But we'll move on. Final game of the night. Miami Heat traveling to Sacramento. We have a game total, and we have a spread, the only one of the night. 223.5 game total. 1.5 points favored to Miami. And as far as the injury report, Miami did not submit theirs yet. And for the Kings, Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes, Metu, and Robert Woodward all out. Robert Woodward is just destroying the G League. He's not out. But that dude looks good down there. He's absolutely crushing it. So, Santino, Miami Heat. We talked about Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving. I asked you before, LeBron and Harden, who do you prefer out of these two? I guess we kind of already talked about that, but I want to hear it again.
Yeah, so we'll have to look because the Heat are the one game on the back end of a back-to-back. The Raptors are on the front end of a back-to-back. So we'll have to see how they come out of their current game. They have the late game with the Warriors at 10, and we're starting this just about at tip-off time. So we don't know exactly who's going to have wear and tear out of that game. But looking at the matchups, Butler against a Kings team just screams, play me. This Kings team is not good at defense. They're losing their best perimeter defender. Harrison Barnes is not playing, and he's been a revelation this year. And it pains me to say that because I don't like Harrison Barnes in fantasy at all. But he's been very good this year. So I think you can go either way if you want to take the Kyrie, LeBron James narrative. Be my guest, and especially like you said, if you're not getting exposure to that game on the net side at all or in that game at all, you're going to want to go Kyrie. But head to head, I think Butler has the slighter higher upside, assuming that there's no fallbacks from the Warriors game that's going to be playing as we're doing this podcast, because there's just the matchup screams, wow. It's like the Kings can't play defense, and he's going to have a very, very good time to put up some fantasy points.
Absolutely. I am with you. I mean, I love Jimmy Butler. He's just been a different, talk about revelations. This dude's been almost like a triple-double threat on a night-to-night basis. And, as good as Jimmy Butler is and as used to, seeing him dominate as we are, that's not something of his game that we're necessarily used to seeing on a night-to-night basis. He's basically been playing point guard. Kendrick Nunn's been handling it and playing well, putting in work, don't get me wrong. But Jimmy Butler has been playing point guard. So I really like Jimmy Butler in this matchup. It's really just going to come down to construction. My single entries, I'm not going to lie to you, it's the night before. I have no idea what those are going to look like right now. But I can tell you my GPPs, I'm going to have constructions based upon my, just simple fact. If I don't have Harden, I'm probably going to have Kyrie in that lineup, which means I'm not going to be playing Jimmy Butler, which means I'm going to be bloating up on guys like Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero. I absolutely love Tyler Hero in this matchup. I always talk about it, shooting guards versus the Kings. I will harp on it. I will never stop talking about it. It's something I always look for and I always target. I would say 3 out of 4 times it hits. I'm hoping this is one of those 3 out of 4. We know Tyler Hero's upside. We know his role. It's all consistent. I love the price tag at $5,900. The fact that there's no Harrison Barnes, even better. Hassan Whiteside's likely to draw the start at center with Rashawn Holmes out. We know he does not step 3 feet away from the basket. It just screams good fortune for Miami in general. And like I said, if I can't afford that Jimmy Butler price tag, I'll feel fairly confident in getting Tyler Hero in there. Kendrick Nunn as well. Both those guys, fantastic plays. Even if you want to look at Duncan Robinson, again, not a normal matchup. I never, ever, ever do I target Duncan Robinson. But it's, again, I know he's going to be slotted at small forward. Essentially, he's a shooting guard, and he's facing the Kings. He's 4,300. I wouldn't expect a ton of ownership. This feels like one of those games where we could see 25 DK points out of him at 4,300. All four of those guys, even Bam feels underpriced at 82. I know Whiteside's going to be the chalk option. Everyone's going to play him. I'll have tons of shares as well. But he's definitely the second best center on the slate. It's not even close. I'd probably even see myself having lineups with double center going Whiteside and Bam. There's a lot to love on this Miami side.
Yeah, there's a lot to like on that side too. And when you said second best center, are you including Giannis?
No, Giannis, I'm thinking, is actually just going to be strictly power forward eligible for me.
Do you mean by price wise, or just that's why? Because
when it comes out of construction for me, it's just when I'm looking at Giannis, he's basically the best power forward on the slate. It's not even close, not even remotely close. Value wise, point per dollar wise, everything.
No, I was just saying because you said Bam is the second best center on the slate, so that's why I was asking which one. Were you counting Giannis as a center?
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. I apologize. No, when I said second best center, my reference, I guess I was meant like probably an ownership wise, like value wise, point per dollar wise, where people are going to get. I expect Whiteside to be the first best center, I guess you could say, because he's 4,600. Everybody just saw what he did when Rashawn Holmes is out. He's probably going to have a similar role. And then the second highest owned solely center position guy on this slate that's going to be the second best option point per dollar wise, I think is going to be Bam. If you want to slot Giannis in there, we both know he's probably both of our favorite option on this slate. But I just think it's to play him at center is going to probably be, bad lineup construction considering that we have Bam and Whiteside. We're going to want to get one of those guys as well. So we'll slot him at power forward. Long-winded.
Yeah, thanks for telling us that. But thanks for answering the question. But yeah, I think like you said, there's a lot to like on this Heat side. Some solid price tags and a very, very good matchup against a bad defense that likes to run the ball. So very, very good matchup for them. You're going to get a lot of ownership looking at that Heat.
All right, we'll slide over. Last game, or last team, Sacramento Kings. I'll lead it off here, Santino. I mean, we already touched on it. No Barnes, no Holmes. There's going to be some minutes opened up. There's going to be some value to go around. They've been starting Quan Jeffries. They're going to continue to do that, but his minutes have been limited. I would expect a little bit of a bump in this one, knowing that in that last one that Holmes was out, they slid Bagley to the 5, and then they moved Barnes up to the 4. Without having Barnes now, they're probably going to have to play a little bit more Bjelica as well. So I'm definitely going to have some interest in Bjelica. 3,800, I'm expecting, I think, would you say he played like about 5 minutes in that last one? We'd probably be looking at least 20 in this one, upside of a little bit more, maybe 22, 23, depending on how this game shakes out. So at 3,800, he's a nice solid value play. Whiteside, there's the chalk for you. He's probably going to be 80% owned. 4,600 going against his former team. You got to love the play. I don't expect him to shoot 12 of 15, block 5 shots, and get 16 rebounds again. But that was for a 58-point DK night. That's a guy that's priced at about 10K. He's 4,600. We'll take 25 and be perfectly cool with that. We know his upside is baked in there. And then, I don't mind looking at the Aaron Fox. I don't want to pay that 8,500. We just talked about Kyrie and Butler. I prefer both those guys over him. I'm not playing Buddy Hield in this matchup. I don't think either. Wouldn't mind looking at Halliburton, but when push comes to shove, I like Tyler Hero more. So that's it for me, man.
Yeah, I think they're actually, you mentioned Bjelica or Jeffries. I think Halliburton's going to draw the start. I think it's just going to be Fox, Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley, Hassan Whiteside, and that's probably where they'll look to, knowing that they start Nunn and he pretty much plays powerful or shooting guard. I think that's the way that they'll go to. Maybe they start Jeffries, but he's not going to play more than 15 minutes. I don't think they start Bjelica unless Bagley's out. He's more of Bagley's direct backup. It doesn't look like they want to play him at center much or with Bagley. It's kind of a weird pairing there. There's no front court defense when they're together. So I see more of I think I see Halliburton in the starting lineup with Whiteside. Yeah, I'm not really looking too high. I don't mind Halliburton, but I think we have some solid options like a Kyle Kuzma against the Nets for 700 more. I like that matchup better. Not really interested in Bagley. He's just not good. Whiteside 4-6. You mentioned it. Chalk. Oh, I forgot Corey Joseph. They might just start him because Luke
Well,
Walton
I was
has
going to say that, but they
an
did start him
infatuation
in the
with
last
him.
one.
Yeah, he just has an infatuation with them for some odd reason, even though they lost in the last one. He shouldn't start. But yeah, I don't know why he plays them so much. I don't mind going there at 39 if he's going to start, just because he's going to get a bunch of minutes. But eventually they're going to – I just think Halliburton starts this one. They got beat by a Kyrie, KD-less Nets team, and it just – or no, not Kyrie, just a KD-less Nets team, and it doesn't make sense to keep going back. And I also don't mind Bjelica. He should play about 20 minutes or so because Barnes, they don't have hit – without him there, he's not going to be sliding down to the 4 and stealing a bunch of minutes there. So things open up for Bjelica. So I don't mind Joseph and NB down or under 4K. And I think Halliburton would be one guy I would look at, but I think there's better options. And Whiteside's just going to be super chalky.
Yeah, and we just talked about, I think, 3 guys in this game alone. Whiteside, Bjelica, and Joseph. All guys that are great values. We talked about some of those values that are going to be opening up in Brooklyn. The value that's going to be opening up in Milwaukee that we have between Connaughton, Bryn Forbes, a couple of those guys over there in Miami. There's value. And that's what I was getting at the top of the slate. We have value on a 3-game slate. It's weird to say. Usually it doesn't happen that often. So, it's kind of coming out to me that it looks like I might have some Giannis Harden lineups. So, I might have, I might even try to figure out a way to squeeze like Giannis and then maybe get a Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving. I'm going to be doing some different combinations. I'm just throwing some things out there because I do have that value available for me right now. But that is the slate, my good friend. That is it. Thank you guys for listening. If you have a moment, you give us a follow on Twitter. You can find me at Mike Apotria, MikeApotria. You can find Santino at Santino Caccone, SantinoCaccone. And we'd really appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up, rate, review, subscribe. Get the notifications. As soon as we deliver a podcast, you will get that little click, that notification to your phone. And then give us a 5-star rate and review. We really do appreciate that, guys. It means the world to us. Sounds cliche saying it, but no, it really does. We enjoy seeing that kind of stuff, guys. And if you're wondering where you can review it, it is anywhere that you're listening to this, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, YouTube, you name it. It is all over the place, guys. So anything else you want to say before we take off out of here, Santino?
No, I think we can run out of here. I think we did pretty well. 3-game slate, not huge news. We're waiting for more news, but we have a lot of it already that we can play with.
Exactly. Most of it's out there. We can at least start finagling some lineups, making them out.
We say most of it's out there, most that we know. We're getting hit with blindsides left and right. So it's always, you have to pay attention. And if you do, like you said before, if you don't want to pay attention and look at all this late breaking stuff, don't play a lot of money because it's just not worth it.
Exactly. Monitor the news. And it's only 3 games. This is the kind of slate that we can monitor. I actually like it. I don't normally like these 3 game slates, but I like it. But thank you guys for listening. We will be back tomorrow. It will be the wonderful combination of David Metcalf and Brett Eckersley. They'll be crushing it for you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Take care. Let's go crush some GPPs.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.